specific degree of like game designer?
of the game designer. Like I just started 25 years ago. There was nothing
Oh,
like that back then. So,
okay. Like
yes.
specifically, it's not anything in India at that
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. Yeah. But I left India pretty quickly, so I learned with a lot of good people and all that. So that was fun.
Subanshu, the voice is still coming out.
Hey, Akshat.
Hello. So we will talk mostly here. I have some questions that most people ask. Is first I will just go with some introduction so people will get more clear about you. So you are like as in the CEO of Gamitronics, so which is the company. So today's live will be mostly based on VR
Mhm.
and all the future in gaming industry in India. So first of all, what do you think about the future? How it's growing on?
The gaming in general.
Yeah, in India, like
I
right
think
now.
it's decent. It's not where it could have been. In the past there had been some amazing attempts. Especially in PC gaming side and even like PlayStation 2 games. A lot of games
Yep.
were done, and we could have used those as foundation and build on top of that. But we completely lost the momentum. And thanks to mobile game, rage which happened, like everybody thought of boarding that ship, and people started doing those. And I guess it's like we are not here, we are not there kind of situation. Good thing is that now I think we are back on our track, with some of good titles out there in the market, like Raji.
Yeah.
Bonfire is my personal favorite. No offense to any other title here, but I love Bonfire. That's beautifully done game. And at the same time we worked on some of the AAA titles, like start to end, and releasing some titles. There is Overhead, doing Yuddha, or yeah, Yuddha, right? So they did Asura before, roguelike game. So I think it's back on the track. People are realizing that mobile game is not as simple as they actually thought it was, and they started trying to build real experiences, real games and stuff, even on mobile. This company in Bangalore, right? The guy who had the chef game and stuff, they did with SpongeBob now, so which is a big IP. Even before the game was live, they had like millions of people, already registering for the game and stuff. So yeah, so I think it's again it's back on the right path, and I hope people keep the same momentum.
Yeah.
And good thing is that people started playing you know
More like
uh,
indie side.
exactly, so which is a
They will like
great.
start promoting more indie side of
Right,
gaming
right, right,
in
right.
India.
So in long back, if you go like back in like before 2000, also we had or around 2000, we had Chakravyu, we had Yodha, we had Bhagat Singh. All these were PC games.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
have played Bhagat Singh. It was
yeah. So with
very good game.
Mitashi's
Yeah,
game and stuff,
yeah,
right? So and then we also then there were like four PlayStation 2 title, one PS3 title, which was in India, and we released India's first global PlayStation title, which reached top 10 charts also back then. So I think that 2011, 12 momentum, like 8 years of silent period, and 2020
yeah.
or
Then like
2019 was,
I guess like because of, as I've seen, like because of PUBG, the only mobile game, like it's
yeah,
they also started people started understanding what actually gaming is.
absolutely, yeah. That's intense. Otherwise people were playing just the puzzle games and stuff
Yeah,
on
and
mobile,
like
right?
Candy
So
Crush and all, the like
exactly,
only
and Temple
casual
Runs.
games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So PUBG
So
brought the whole thing back.
yeah,
So
it's just right. So that was something that people did. Like, what do you think about like people are not giving up PUBG? People are still playing it as that there is only one game in this whole industry, that only PUBG is there and we will play PUBG all the day. So
it's
what
it's
do you will say? Like,
it's all about hook, right? Like I still play CS:GO, right? It's
yeah,
kind of,
yeah,
I grew up playing that, and I still go back in time, play Doom all the time with my friends, deathmatch and stuff like that, because there's no game like Doom ever
yeah.
created, and
We
I
have
don't
no like
think that it will
it's
ever be created.
yeah,
I'm such a big fanboy of Doom. So the similar thing
yeah.
for
Me
people
too.
who
Me too. I'm also
awesome. So people actually entered gaming through PUBG.
yeah,
A lot of new gamers happened because of PUBG. Like my office boys also play PUBG, all the time sitting somewhere and playing PUBG and all that. So their entry point to the mobile game, or the game industry was PUBG. So they are so very into it now. So I think that actually answers the question. It's all about hook, and that's what, as a game designer, we try to do. We create
yeah.
one such hook that people actually think
Like
twice or
get
thrice.
hooked.
Exactly, so like even before skipping, like if you miss out on a day, you feel bad that I didn't play today. and that's the whole thing, and it's the competitive nature of the game. What people had never experienced before, at least in India, larger part. And I always say multiplayer game is always about my ego versus your ego. It's a,
Yeah.
it's a it's
Yeah,
an
like someone is dominating you, and now you just have to perform better, like shoot him with better way.
and there is no other game. Fortnite is there, but again, it's kind of more sleek, more this thing, and not so optimized again for mobile
Yeah.
and stuff. So PUBG is a perfect setting and perfect, and great marketing also at the
Yeah.
same time. So
Now they are like bringing a different kind of tying up with bigger AAA games like they did in Resident Evil to get
yeah,
more.
yeah,
So that's it. So something is PUBG is doing something good with like all
yeah,
what
yeah.
people likes to do. So the first question is, what was your experience in game industry? Like as you started like creating
Mm,
games.
So this year I'm marking my 25 years in the game industry,
Yeah, that's
and
congratulations for that.
thank you. And there is a reason that I'm celebrating 25 years in this industry and not quitting, and did not quit also, because it's a phenomenal industry. My
Yeah,
experience has always been amazing with this industry. Just a quick background on how I started. So I started playing games in 1989. I don't even know how many actually, viewers actually were even born, during that time. But that time I figured out that that is something what I wanted to do in my life. And then I made my first game as my college project, which was called Sea Dogs, and there was no internet, everywhere. There was
yeah,
Earthnet.
internet.
Yeah, it was Earthnet, Education Research Network, and I threw my game on that, and more than 70,000 people actually downloaded that game back in. I developed in Pascal, and
Yeah,
so people loved it so much and all those things, and IBM immediately picked me up for AI programming of one of the big, huge title they were supporting, which was Prince of Persia back in those days,
yeah,
and so we did the AI as IBM, this thing and all. Then we carried on, kept on worked with Toshiba again on the games and stuff. So it has always been, an amazing thing. We did use Unreal when it was, Unreal 2 was around. We started using Unreal back in those days. We were using Renderware, Gamebryo, so all kick-ass game engines. Some of the game engines were like too, difficult, but that was our, satisfaction that we can actually deal with those game engines like Renderware. It was super difficult game engine, but we had absolute fun working on those titles. So I worked in largely in US and Belgium, these countries, and then we did a lot of defense simulation also, which was again fun because imagine you're actually playing Call of Duty, but your
yeah,
controller is not a controller or a keyboard mouse, but a
yeah.
real gun or a
It's
real
real
tank.
again.
So
Yeah,
we used Unreal Engine and CryEngine for most of our simulation also what we did. And i and then I floated my own company, and we released the PlayStation 3 title, which reached worldwide top 10 racing game chart, and that is
yeah,
like entirely done in India except the game design and the level design part.
yeah,
But the entire execution was by the Indian team, and that was like our peak, that we learned that people are ready to give a shot to this industry. We had people from IITs, people from various colleges, because I don't think gaming was a even a career option back in those days for many people. But still, we could actually convince people, and people were looking for that kind of thing, and they contributed heavily for that game. And first of all, making the game and at the same time taking it to the top of the chart was a big deal back then. So and then I started my company in 2012, and then since then been doing amazing. We worked on Resident Evil, we worked on Battlefield, and not like the art outsourcing or programming
yeah,
outsourcing.
yeah.
We
As we
did,
have read it about you, like you
yeah,
also
so
worked in Battlefield and a
yes,
lot
exactly.
of big games.
And Splinter Cell, like end-to-end development and stuff. So if you have worked on all sort of titles and all sort of industries, what game industry actually support, I don't think there is any reason for me to even complain. Forget about complaining. I think I cherish every moment I spent in this industry. It's
Yeah.
probably the best industry where the logical brain and creative brain, they come together and work and produce something. This is the only industry where you can do this. So it's been phenomenal for me.
Yeah. So that was amazing. Your experience was really good. And so the next thing is, what are the challenges that you have faced while making games in India? Something that you will
Oh,
like
number
to
one is
just
always
give.
resource.
There will be more indie studios in India as well. Like
Yeah,
people
yeah,
are
yeah,
starting,
yeah.
like something that you would like to give it, and as an advice. So if you're
Sure.
starting, like don't do this mistake.
Yeah, so number one will always be the human resource. You will not find the right kind of talent, which is always a difficult thing. Number two, and the biggest thing, what I would suggest most of the people is the game designer. Is I think is it's still missing in India. I know there are a lot of people who do amazing game design, and especially the smaller games and other things are fine, but the kind of level we are talking, that's where we want to reach. I think the experience is the missing, and that's one of the reason. You can like always discuss with me or debate with me, but the thing is that we always kept our designer outside India. So my
Yeah.
designers are in US and in France, and they do all the game design. I have designer in India, but they just support. They like kind of a bridge, between my US and India office kind of thing. But so that is a big missing item. The other thing, which is probably crazy for me, is that the IT industry is so big in India and so hugely, paying industry that people are always tempted to actually go in the typical traditional IT companies rather than going to the game industry. And especially if you have an office in Hyderabad, you will understand that everybody wants to make Bahubali here. You know, uh,
Yeah.
Game
Yeah.
industry is not necessarily your first choice. So convincing people, why you should actually make a career in game, how big is the game industry, and the impact of the game industry is definitely a pretty big challenge, which we faced all across, but from the design side, from and effort side, I think and people should actually focus more on what I would again suggest from people's perspective is that instead of working on Unity engine or Unreal engine or something, try and ensure that your foundation is strong about how the rendering system actually works.
Yeah.
Because engines are here today, tomorrow they won't be there, or they'll probably change dramatically. If you have a very strong foundation, your basics will never go away. And that's one of the reason I personally worked with 11 or 12 different game engines, and
Yeah.
that happened because of the foundation we had. It was all about how the rendering system actually works, so we can tweak Unity, we can tweak Unreal, and we can actually get adapted to the new engine. So understanding that part, because most of the institute just teach them directly, come to my institute, I'll teach you Unity and you're done. I don't think that works, and that should not
Yeah.
be the pattern. They should actually focus on little bit on DirectX, OpenGL, and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah. So that was it. Like these are the challenges that you have faced. And the next thing
some
which
of the
I will like
challenge,
to, yeah,
many,
mostly.
yeah,
So while starting that, it's difficult for nowadays, like to just convince anyone. So
yeah,
that was actually one of, I would like to share one of my experience that we
sure,
are actually organizing tournaments nowadays.
hmm,
We organize for our college, CMED also. So I just asked some of the colleges that if they are interested to organize. So they just said like, okay, no. They just like seriously said no. We don't kind of give like any type of attention to gaming.
yeah,
It's like mostly they don't care about gaming. And the second thing, and I guess they don't want their students to be happy. So
yeah,
we did a pool. We
hmm,
just to let us know, just to know the information that how many people are interested only for a gaming tournament, which
sure,
is just for fun in their college. Like
hmm,
if I have a college and I will just try to do a simple tournament, so they just said like, okay, like right now we are not interested, because
right,
like
right,
all they just give a talk about money,
yeah.
do an admission, and that's it. They are
I'll
not
tell you.
just
I'll tell
giving
you
about.
one more horrifying story actually,
Yeah.
and it's horrifying because I experienced it firsthand. I was
Yeah.
invited as a chief guest in one of the college in Hyderabad
Yeah.
sometime back
Yeah.
before COVID, and then I met. I was asked to meet principal, and so I met Mr. Principal there, and he told me that some of the kids are not so good in programming and all those things, so they can opt for game as a career, right? and that's why we
Yeah.
invited you. Like, this is like, what are you saying? I feel game is the epitome of programming because I worked in this different kind of systems, and I know how difficult game programming is. The and amount of memory management, amount of mathematics you deal
Yeah,
with,
even you have to use AI in
and
game.
so much, and then there is so much. It's basically, I think, you reach, and you reach the pinnacle of programming basically in game. And that principal was telling me that, because some people are not good, so they can opt for game, and that's why, like, you are here, probably you can actually convince them or something. What the hell, like, that's just the level, and that's like I'm talking about 2020, not even like.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah,
It's
that's
not something that like if you're not good at something like go ahead
yeah,
start
yeah,
doing game.
it's like, yeah, it's become Neta kind of thing, because if you're
Yeah,
not good for anything, just make games. Wow,
yeah.
could never imagine that I'll see a day like that, but yeah, I can't forget, and I will never forget that. So,
Yeah. So the next question that I have is, what are your views on VR technology and its future development?
okay,
Basic, mostly in India. So as you know, like it costs like 85,000 for a STC Vive in India.
yeah, yeah. That's the biggest stupidity. Number of stupidities there. Cost is definitely, we in India we try to make everything very prohibitive. Whatever is good, try to make it so expensive that people can't afford it.
Yeah,
Like,
like so many taxes.
yes, some simple example, Lego Mindstorm, right? Lego toy, right? Which generally costs what,
Yeah,
$289 in America. They like sold for 70 to 80,000 rupees in India. For what? That's something what every kid should have actually. So similar thing here,
yeah,
that all the technology things are usually pretty expensive. Games are super expensive. The consoles are super expensive. I actually got to know about the 2080 Ti cards and stuff. They're sold for 3x the price in India.
yeah,
Compared to US. Like, so why are you actually becoming such a prohibitive country? So I just don't get it, and I don't understand. But having said that, I think VR has multiple. VR is basically a platform, just like your phone is a
yeah,
platform. You can call, you can text, you can do WhatsApp, you can play game, you can listen to the music, right? So VR, I treat VR as a medium. It's not necessarily a game device or any this thing. So it's a visual medium, and it's the most immersive medium, which is the biggest thing. So I personally think that in gaming, it's kind of lagging behind. It's not where it could have. Good thing is about Half-Life Alex happened. Beat Saber happened. Wrath of Asgard happened. Some of the big games happened. Resident Evil is also pretty. It did pretty good. Commercially. So adoption is happening globally. In India, still there is absolutely, I would say, the only guys who have VR headset for consumption are the guys who are actually developing things for VR. Not like people have, like, everybody can have phone or everybody can have console, even if you're not. So in India, that is one big problem for VR adoption. But VR in the training is thriving in India, like is thriving. Every single company has VR or AR somewhere in their checklist. Talk,
yeah.
like, we did for Indian Oil, we did for ICICI Bank, we did for SpiceJet, and several others. But the thing is that every company you talk to, they have VR and AR both as this thing. But talk about games, not there. And
Okay.
I think uh, we can blame that the cost is one of the biggest factor.
Yeah, a
So,
lot.
yeah,
Because
and the
I
second,
personally wanted to purchase VR,
right,
but because of the price, it was like I can just build myself a proper gaming PC at that
absolutely,
cost. Like,
yeah, because you buy STC Vive first, and at the same
yeah,
time you need to have a machine to run that.
yeah,
Otherwise you are limited to Quest and other things and stuff. So that machine is
yeah.
also not going to be cheap, right? So that these are some of the big issues what we see. But seeing zero latency setting up there, this thing in Mumbai is a good sign. It's doing good. At the same time, I am an investor and part of a company called Jadus. And
Yeah.
Jadus is basically, we have at this moment we have roughly 50 VR zones all across India and outside India also in a couple of countries. And uh, and we are seeing good numbers of people over there. So in India, VR as a consumer device is not happening, but VR when you are like out of home experience, like IMAX movie. Kind of you
Yeah,
go out and watch that. That is still happening, and that is, I think we are doing pretty good. And we have some celebrities on board with us who are also, pushing VR as a, medium and all those things. So I think it will take a lot of time. In fact, India is not just the problem. Problem is global.
yeah,
VR in game is still not there, except I think 8 to 10 games actually touched, 5 to 10 millions kind of number. The rest of the games are so far behind. So we need something like Half-Life Alex kind of thing in Quest kind of system where it can go everywhere. Beat Saber is doing amazing anyways on Quest and Quest
yeah.
2.
They also got the Game of the Year award too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Super Hot VR also, they did,
Yeah,
3 times of their lifetime sale just in 1 month on when Quest came. So I think Quest will and is already a right example of how VR will reach. And when I worked in VR in 2006, it was more like a helmet. It
yeah.
was actually we did so big. So
So at
people
that time, it doesn't have like proper color, as I remember. I've
yeah,
just
that's very,
researched
very,
it.
yeah, everything was very, immersiveness is kind of, you train your brain that it's immersive because it was
Yeah,
not. But now you need to probably train your brain that is, you are not there. Come on, come on,
yeah,
come on. Yes, it's just a VR headset. If somebody is
yeah,
shooting at you, you don't need to react so heavily. So
yeah,
that is different. So I think slowly we are actually reaching that uh, size and thing, because I think even Quest actually, Quest 2 is way
yeah,
too lighter. They're like 35%, lighter than the Quest. So slowly we'll reach that, kind of not the eyeglass level, but a little more, but still, decent. And the cost
yeah,
is like $299 in America is absolutely not bad compared to Quest was $399, right? So I think slowly with adoption and other thing, it will happen, and soon it will come to India. We did a few games. We saw success in those games. There is today itself. I saw one of my you know acquaintance. He posted his screenshot. Abhinav, he runs a company called Zetun in Ahmedabad. He down and out. Is his VR game looks pretty sleek. I've seen only these screenshots, but so I think people are attempting. People are trying to do good things here. Let's just keep our fingers crossed and see that we reach.
yeah.
Yeah,
So as I said, like some of the stats show that India is almost 5 or 8. They say that 8 ahead. Like there is 8 year of difference between
yeah.
India and the whole
Unfortunately,
world.
yeah,
Like even in a VR, if I have heard like in America, in other countries, like VR is now normal. Like
yeah,
everyone have VR,
yeah,
they are playing it.
yeah.
But in our country, like gaming PC is not even normal.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So that's
So
why like we are almost like too far from them.
which is actually
So
very unfortunate. Let me just, because the fact is when VR started, Indian game industry was always already there. It was a low
yeah,
hanging fruit. We could actually create a level playing field like
yeah,
European countries did when the mobile games were happening. They immediately
yeah,
upped their game and they started, throwing mobile game. And today, some of the biggest mobile game companies are actually European, right? So,
yeah,
and India could have been at the same level. And I was screaming out loud, on my social media that people get onto this ship. It's going to be amazing and stuff. But not many people took it seriously. Otherwise, it would have been, probably we would have been at par with American companies, because this is the only thing which happened in front of our eyes when game industry was there. Mobile happened a little before, like 2007, 2008. Consoles happened much before. PCs happened much before, but VR happened during this time, like 2012, right?
yeah,
August, right? So that's when Oculus, started coming out and stuff. And Indian game industry was already there. We could literally pick and uh, go and throw it in the market, but we lost the opportunity, and again we are behind.
yeah. Can we are like we are, so as you said, like we had momentum
Yeah,
previously.
yeah, we did
Okay,
that.
so now everyone who's watching, everyone, so hello to all the viewers. You have an option. You can just go ahead and put your question in the comment section, and we will ask it. Also, we have a game designer with us. So let's move on to the next question is which is apart from traditional animation and game design, what VR is different with development?
It's humongously different, you know. So first of all, the number of frames you render, you know, per screen is way too high compared to what you do otherwise, you know. So everything needs to be optimized. In most of the games, you can actually cover a lot of things and places, you know, when you know, because the camera is, you know, and all those things are in your game designer's control. But when you are doing things for VR, you need to be absolutely attention to details are required. So it's a catch 22 situation because it requires huge performance and stuff. So you need to optimize everything, but at the same time you need to pay a lot of attention to details and stuff, you know. But in terms of talking about the animation and other thing, there's hardly any difference. There's the same game pipeline, you know, what you use,
Yeah,
you know, the same development process and everything. Design wise, things change dramatically because you need audio visual clues, you know, unlike
yeah,
other games, you know. So if you know you want players attention on the left hand side, you need to actually have some sound clues and or the some visual clue that player looks at that side. Otherwise, there is
yeah,
no need for a player to actually look at that side, right? So how do you make players, you know, do that? So that's a game design challenge, you know. How do you use those kind of things? There are certain things what can literally crush, you know, a player. Like, you know, you throw something big on somebody. So the VR is so immersive that you literally think that something is being thrown upon you, and you might get a heart attack also. There are a lot of studies which happened in various places where, you know, what is the threshold we can attain and we should attain, you know, when we are actually creating a horror game or, you know, anything of that sort. And keeping those things, we call it hygiene, you know,
yeah,
VR hygiene. So keeping that VR hygiene is the most important thing. We have a complete checklist when we do VR. We have a complete checklist that don't use flashy colors, you know, don't
yeah,
throw something at player like a big huge thing, because people can react heavily to situations like those,
yeah.
you
Like
know.
it can give some several
ab-
injuries to.
Absolutely, the fast paced, you know, game should not be there because it creates nausea. There are some
Yeah,
games which are there now, but not everybody can play those kind of games, so it
yeah,
gives nausea. Like I can actually run as fast as I want in Doom, but to try the same thing in same speed in VR,
yeah.
you're
You will
gonna throw
have
up,
like
you
a
know. So
totally. You will just.
how do you actually, you know, calibrate that part, you know, all these things, you know. And running at 90 frames, you know, and other things are not a joke anyways, right? Everybody struggles with those kind of things. So that is another big challenge for you know, all these things need to be taken care while you are designing a game for VR. And make sure that you take advantage of the, you know, complete surrounding instead of just one linear thing like Beat Saber, you know.
Yeah,
Amazing game, amazing this thing, but it like, does not take the advantage of the surrounding, which is fine. It
yeah,
works for that particular game. You know, there's another game called Audiotica. You know, that takes, you know, so it's a kind of shooter with music. So there you
yeah,
actually look all around and you do that. Half-Life Alex takes some extreme amount of, you know, attention to detail. Everything what you think will be, you know, I can hold, you can literally hold. And so
yeah,
that is the level, you know, that shows how a VR game should be designed and developed. I think that's the complete institution within itself at this moment, you know, how a VR
yeah,
should be done. So I think, you know, but in terms of animation, in terms of modeling and other thing, other than the optimization part, there is hardly anything which you need to be very, very, you know, aware and use 6DoF, you know, as much as possible, because these new generation VR devices are 6DoF. So how do you actually make sure that somebody looks at something like this and all those kind of, you know, using those elements to actually trigger the brain senses of the player. These are some of the most important things. So design wise, it change, you know, it changes dramatically, but not otherwise in terms of development.
yeah. Okay. So as you have said, so the another question is, what lead you to go through VR and all gaming side?
I didn't get your voice was
Like,
little.
what interests you toward the gaming and VR side?
What
Like,
interest?
why did you started like
Oh,
gaming?
why did I start? Okay, okay. So in VR, very very simple. You know, see, I had been playing game as I told you. It's been like 31 years I'm playing games, right? So And I was playing on PC initially, and in fact, I started with Atari. Then Atari, then PC, and then all the consoles and stuff. Those were like kind of in the similar fashion. There is a screen, there is a controller, and I'm playing. If my controllers can be keyboard and mouse, also my controller can be a joypad, gamepad, and all those kind of things. I'm absolutely okay. There's one single way of consuming content. When VR happened, for the first time, I remember it was Vuzix, the company, the VR headset we used. My mind was kind of blown with the potential of that device. And when I saw, I actually, funded Kickstarter also of Oculus when they were doing the Kickstarter campaign, because I had already experienced, virtual reality, and I knew if somebody does it right, it's gonna be phenomenal. And when I got to know that John Carmack is part of that, who's kind of godlike for people like us who are like who live, breathe, and eat Doom all the time. So knowing that that name is attached to that, then Michael Abrash, who actually pretty much for me redefined how the graphics in the games work, and I was sold on that idea totally. And when I first experienced, I still remember it was like 2011ish kind of thing. I was in San Mateo in California, and somebody gave me like, you gotta try this, and I tried, and I was like, just I
Whoa, what
within
is
like
that?
within like few seconds, I forgot that I was like in San Mateo. I was like transformed to some other world completely, and because that is the right use case of and that is not something what I had been doing all my life before this, because there is no screen anymore for me. What was there, I was in the game, I was in the thing, and that is something what we had been dreaming all along. When PlayStation came with their PSI camera, right? So one of the thing what they did, like, it takes your photograph and puts that in the game. That itself was a big high for us back in those days. And having something like where I can look all around the world as if I'm there and I'm seeing a
Yeah,
big huge monster. And I remember HTC Vive's first demo where a dolphin comes to you, a whale comes to you actually, and you can literally slap
yeah,
that whale.
yeah, yeah,
I enjoyed those moments so much. I said like, okay, this if I have to make a next game, it's gonna be in VR. And
yeah.
that's when we did. We made one game. It was super successful. We met Samsung, and Samsung actually partnered with us for something really, really big. They brought some of the biggest titles for us and stuff, and the rest is history.
Whoa,
So
so that was really amazing. So someone from our comment section known as Barcode asked that what type of games do you see in future?
what type of
Like in
games?
game industry, like what
Yeah.
do you think what type of games will be in future?
Okay. Very interesting question. I'm a big fan of Black Mirror. If you've seen,
Yeah, I've seen
the Netflix series,
something
so
mind-blowing.
that's mind blowing. So you are controlling the game with your brain senses. You are in the game without any visual device.
Something that
Probably.
you, if you have seen that Ready Player One movie
Exactly.
that have
Ready
the
Player
same
One
thing.
is an amazing example. Her, if you have seen her movie,
Yeah.
another great example of what I see as the future. So, but yeah, Ready Player One is. I think we've already reached that level of Ready Player One.
Yeah, as
You
we
know,
have seen, like they created some kind of treadmill for walk and
Yes,
guns,
absolutely. So
things
we are,
like
we are
that.
there. We have social, platform. In fact, Facebook has their social platform. We have our social platform where you can meet
Mm,
as many as 10,000 people on the single platform. We
yeah,
call it PUBG for corporates kind of thing. But
yeah,
all those, so we've reached that Ready Player One kind of thing. But the next level is going to be when you don't wear a device where and you're literally controlling thing. In fact, there is a something we tried back in 2008 or 2009. It's called NeuroSky, and
yeah,
it's a brain sensing unit which you wear. It
yeah.
actually pulls 12
S-
spectrum of your brain, and
Okay.
fear, calmness, meditating, aggression, and all those kind of things. And we use those things in the game within the game. So if I'm feeling very aggressive, I'll go and fight. If I'm feeling scared, I'll just run away from the scene. But those were the early attempts and stuff. But soon all those things will be I think will be pretty much there in a smaller form factor and stuff. Ready Player One will become kind of an absolute usual thing for you to Like imagine Tinder, forget about game,
Yeah.
right? Imagine Tinder in VR. That's gonna be the best thing, possible, right? You meet people there, you hang out, you go for the thing, and absolutely safe, right? So and there
Yeah.
can be social clubs, there can be this thing, and you can go out, and everything being done while you're sitting in your couch.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
have also seen like people are taking online classes in VR, which was
absolutely.
amazing experience.
Absolutely, and when things work out, then do meet. They don't lose the physical connect, but
Yeah.
do meet and all that. But I think the overall gaming is going to change dramatically, and I'm very very happy with what PS5 and Xbox are X, and S are doing right now. The load time and other things, all the pain points, what we had been seeing, and the games are reaching that uncanny valley thing completely. I'll see more and more AI driven NPCs, like I'm not AI driven, where they are already AI driven NPCs in the game. But what I'm trying to say here is that there will not be a predefined algorithms which will be
Yeah, they
controlling
will
your
do have
life.
some kind of like machine learning something.
So based on your behavior, your this thing, they'll change their behavior, right? And this is
Yeah.
happening in a lot of experiments which I'm aware of. So there is a place called Hacker Dojo in Santa Clara. I keep visiting that, where there are a lot of small little groups who actually keep experimenting with things, and I saw some of the greatest example of how these things are being done. How the entire, and especially if you imagine RPG games, they'll completely change. When you interact with people, how, like, play Witcher, right? Or
Yeah.
play something like, imagine those AIs are machine learning based AI, instead of giving
Yeah.
preset of
Something that they have to act
right,
on their script.
right, other kind of a fuzzy, this thing, FSM kind of, finite state machine. Instead, they completely change their behavior, and that's gonna happen for sure in like next 3 or 4 years. It's not far from now. So that's the big change I'm gonna see in games. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I also have one more question, which is about your recent Indian oil game that you guys are
Mm-hmm.
creating
Mm.
something. So, which you would like to share something about it?
Yeah, so that's basically because we do a lot of work with Indian Oil, and they said, like, they wanted to engage youth. So it's phenomenal, what kind of different times we are living in. Like a
Yeah.
corporate, a government kind of corporate is coming to you, and a very traditional company, Indian Oil,
Yeah.
coming to
Yeah.
you and saying, no, no, we want to engage, a youngster, and the only way they're finding to engage youngster is games.
It's
So
games.
I think it's amazing time, in India right now,
Yeah.
that people are understanding the power of games, and they did not ask for games for training like other companies generally ask for, like make games for training, make games for team management, team learning, time management, and all those things. They asked for a proper game-like game where you go and pick people and learn, that, because what you do if you drive a vehicle, you stop at a gas station and you get the petrol or diesel and you're done, right? Do you even care whether it's Indian Oil or Hindustan Petrol or nothing, right? So
Yeah.
they wanted to create that awareness, that you are going to
Yeah. In
Indian
like,
Oil, right?
yeah.
And they wanted to actually talk about how, if you use servo oils, how the whole thing changes dramatically for them. And that's why, one of the things, because most of the youths in India generally take Uber and Ola rather than driving their own cars, right?
Yeah.
So we made a crazy taxi. I'm like, I can be very honest, it's a crazy taxi clone in a way. But
Yeah.
where it differentiates from crazy taxi is that here you cannot speed up the car. You need to
Yeah.
be within the, so it teaches the responsibility that you need to
Yeah.
actually
Like
drive,
it's something of a real life experience.
absolutely. And at the same time, you should be watchful of what kind of brake oil, engine oil, and the gas you are actually getting in the car. So your car performs better, you do better job, and you. So it's a responsible, crazy taxi. So it's not
Yeah.
insane like crazy taxi, but so we're starting a, if you guys have not downloaded, we're starting a competition tomorrow.
Oh,
Start
sure,
tomorrow
sure.
for a week, and
Yeah.
so whoever is like in top three leaderboard, they will get cash prizes and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And
Okay.
but for me, the
So
biggest kick is that Indian Oil actually asked for a game. That is the
yeah,
biggest kick.
that was the best thing.
Yeah,
that if
absolutely.
someone is asking for
Yeah,
this.
and
So
traditional.
I've also heard that that game will be like charity based. The
Yes.
revenue will be shared to the charity.
Yeah, it's all
That
like
type
we're
of
not
game.
monetizing or anything and all those, and it's all
Yeah.
completely going in the some good this thing and also.
Oh, that's great. So, what was your previous experience with the Smash and Survive game, which was your one of your best selling game in PSN?
Yes. So
Something that you like experienced after the success, like you were getting a lot. Even personally, myself, like I recently launched an application which is only for learning, which is
mhm,
a sketching learning application. So
right.
I just did a lot of work for that, and now I got almost 1,000 downloads on it. So
Oh, nice. Very
I'm
nice.
like actually feeling like, wow, this was like something that I did for the work for
Right,
it.
right, right.
Something that you want to share, like
So
after getting
it
success.
is probably the height of my career, I would say, and the SNS the journey was incredible because from the day one we were very clear that we are going to make a console game, and when people were making PS2 games in India or thinking India as a market, we thought world as a market. We never planned like it has
Yeah.
to be. I'm not and it's everybody knows about me that I'm not that kind of guy who will play game because this is made in India. I will play
Hmm.
game if it is good, as simple as
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
I don't want to make games which is for India necessarily. If I make a game, it has to be for the world. So
Yeah.
that was our objective, and so I had an amazing team. I was in US, and I met some of my old friends, Joe Kreiner, and some of the guys. They were working with an engine company called the engine was Infernal Engine. If you play Ghostbuster game,
Yeah.
that was powered by Infernal Engine. So we took that engine and we started building the game with that. It was a uphill task for us because it was first PS3 game, and as we all know, PS3 is a very complicated architecture. The entire thing. And first time when we ran the game, on our PlayStation development kit, and we were the only one who actually got the access to PlayStation 3 dev kits, from Europe and all. So the biggest challenge was we got one frame, which was working very fine on PC. We pushed the build to our PlayStation dev kit and we saw 1 FPS. And we were like,
Oh.
what the hell? How to fix it? But we actually struggled and all those things. The game was originally planned to be really big game and, not like GTA or something, but pretty big in scope and other thing. But soon we realized that we were not capable of pulling that kind of thing off, and I don't have any problem in saying that we were learning. Most of the people in India were learning and all that, but I got the A team for that. I hunted people, I convinced people, I did everything to, and pretty much I would say 90% team was handpicked. We did not go through Naukri, we did not go through, we literally scavenged internet. I had coffees with people, in cafe coffee days. I was traveling all parts of India to, convince IIT Mumbai, especially, then BITS Pilani, and a lot of local colleges and other places. I convinced people to join us, and a lot of people did actually eventually. So that was a good success. And then we got Pascal on board, Pascal Lubin. He did Splinter Cell. He's known because he designed Splinter Cell and all. I got him on
Oh.
board to work on this game from the design side and understand how we can narrow down the scope. Then we released it. I We released on 23rd of February, 2011, and it was kind of initially it was a PSN game only. So it was amazing experience. But and one thing which happened, never ever Sony had done that before. They sent six of their core team, technical team, to our Indian office to work with our team to finish the game. You know, uh,
Wow. That
yeah,
was really amazing. It's like
so
something.
till this date they have not done this for any studio, that people are being sent, because they believed in this game and the next game we were working on so much that they actually sent their team, and then we finished the game. 23rd we finished February and launched the game on PlayStation. Still amazing rating on PlayStation and all. Of course some ratings went here and there also, because Twisted Metal came right around the corner. In fact our game was pushed by 3 weeks because Twisted Metal was, and that is Sony's property again. So we were pushed back, but I learned everything during this process. And the beauty happened on 24th March 2011 when our game reached the top 10 charts globally. and that was like,
Wow.
you imagine, it's like a Lagan thing, like,
Yeah.
you build a team of noobs and novices and all that, and you
And
build
then you
something on
reached.
PlayStation and all, and it remained in top 10 charts for a month. And
Yeah.
that was the only game which was globally released from India for a long, long time on console. Never before. Recently, few games happened on console, but for a long, long time that remained the only game. And
Okay.
we're still in very much touch with Sony. We work with them, closely on several things, and that's one of the reason our next title, which is just around we have already finished it. We are not releasing it right now because I don't think this is the right time to release. Because of the holiday, big titles will come and all that. So we'll
Yeah.
release it
Even
in
Cyberpunk and all these kind of
all big
things.
titles, Call of Duty, Cyberpunk, all
Yeah.
big titles will come. You'll be crushed like a cockroach.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exactly. So, what are your views on Raji, which is like upcoming game?
No, no,
Even
it's
like,
already out on Switch. I played on Switch.
yeah, yeah,
There
yeah.
there are
What?
two,
What?
two sides to that. One is emotional, one is absolutely brutal, and or as I'm like, generally people always feel this, that I'm always very straightforward in my opinions and stuff. So as a game, as Indian and all that thing, amazing. Like what the perseverance and all. I'm not the one who likes to hear the sob story of people that how we could pull off, how we did that. And I'm not talking about all that story, like kitna mushkil tha release karna and how we went bankrupt and sold flat and all those. Those things don't mean anything to me. It happens with
Yeah,
every single guy who made a mark in the game industry anywhere, in any part of the world, or in any industry per se. People sold things, people did things. So I'm not the one who actually, but effort wise, picking an Indian story and having the courage to take it to the world and still being selected for epic mega grant and all those kind of thing, having super as a publisher, I think that's all those good. But when I tried to play the game, I did not like it as much as I thought I would like it. The reason being, it did not offer me anything absolutely new, other than being Indian,
wow,
so yeah, so but which is fine, for many people, knowing the Indian story itself is a big deal, right? Because
yeah,
people have not seen Indian stories. The last time I saw an Indian story was Uncharted, the Lost Legacy,
yeah,
so which was very nicely well researched. Indian stuff was there in that, but it was more like a DLC, not a game.
yeah.
So I'm like, hats off to the team, good job. Great job by releasing on different platform. Visually, it's beautiful.
So
It's a
much fun.
treat. Technically also, I don't see glitches. My only complaint is from the, as a gamer, will I, if I have this game and other games like Fall Guys and Doom and all those kind of, or even like God of War, or even like any game, will I pick this game and play? My answer will be an absolute brutal no. I
Yeah,
will. And if I have my $100 in my pocket, and this game is there versus Bonfire, I would probably buy Bonfire and not this game. So in India,
okay,
I think Bonfire is the game which I personally think is, I it did not reach the level where it could have, because probably they did not have that big of a publisher, or like it was, even Super is not super big publisher, but at least they have money and other things. But I think Sigma Games, I think they did that game. I like the very well balanced gameplay, the art style, and everything. I think I have. That viewpoint about this, and
okay.
amazing overall.
So that was good. Like you did a proper systematic review of the game.
That's what I am. I'm like, I don't mince my word. People hate me sometimes for that, but
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like of a game designer, like, always speaking the truth, something that they believe in.
yeah.
Okay. So still, we have the time. People are asking like, can we see CS:GO or something like Valorant in their VR?
Of course,
So
why
what do
not?
you think then?
Yeah, of course, why not? You can definitely play a game like Valorant on VR, and it's gonna be fun, and The only thing you will probably, in fact, there are so many games which are coming in, especially from.
Yeah, even I've seen like CS:GO already have it in there.
There are so
Like
many.
CS:GO is
Left,
already.
yeah, Left 4 Dead is also coming on in VR, and there's so many things which are there. And I think VR definitely offers. The only thing you need to be considerate about, because when we play Valorant, we run. We just zoom here and there kind of thing. That needs to be kind of a little bit of that part. But I think Valorant can straight away, even now, can be pushed in VR, because the graphic style also suits VR
Yeah,
completely. Whatever they have done, it's so beautiful. It fits into VR. It's not super heavy
yeah.
graphically also. So I
Even their lighting is baked. It's
absolutely,
too proper.
absolutely. So I think it's an absolute why not, and probably they are already thinking. There's so many games which are already coming. Like, good thing is Medal of Honor is coming in VR. I don't know if you've seen or not. It was
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
my favorite games back in those days. When Call of Duty was still not around, or was
yeah.
very very
I have
early.
played Medal of Honor. Like it was totally kind of a war experience. You will experience
Right?
the whole like an army
Yeah.
experience. Like I'm inside army. Like my teammate is dying, just go ahead and just save him. Whatever, do all this kind of thing. So it was
Right.
amazing like
Yeah.
experience.
Absolutely.
So at this time, so
Absolutely.
I just want to ask you one of the most common questions that people ask me. Even they call me on Discord and ask me this, and people ask us also in the Instagram too. So what they should do after 12th if they want to go in the game industry at this point,
Very
at
nice
this time
question.
in 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, at this time, 2020, focus on two things.
Yeah,
You know, uh, Again, depending on like whether you want to be a programmer, artist, it's an ocean, right? So, absolutely 208 different options which this industry offers. But let's say you want to be a programmer, and you want to do, first of all, if you can afford, go to a place where game courses are taught. There are a lot of places where they have game as the subject, or overall this thing, so you learn everything. So in India, there are only handful of good institutes, but good thing about those institutes is at least you are in the community. You will be around those people who will be talking about games all the time.
yeah,
Unlike going to an engineering college where everybody will be talking about Infosys and TCS. And
yeah,
you'll find a small little group who will be like, okay, I want to make a career in games. So that is the first option. The second is, if you go to a typical college, focus on your you know uh, mathematics side of the whole thing, and C++. I always encourage the C sharp, and all those things are great, but the mother of all the languages is still C++. Focus on that. Try, and Java is, I don't recommend for game. Like, I remember the Techland company, which has Dead Rising and all those games. They have an amazing game engine, but earlier it was written in Java, so we never took it from them. So then they actually ported the entire to C++, because they also figured
yeah,
out, because in Java the problem is JVM sits in between, right? A virtual machine,
yeah,
and that kills, even a small little lag. As a gamer, we hate, right? We
yeah,
don't, we need direct communication, right? So that's where I think, so focus on your logical skills, C++. If you're an artist, keep penning things, keep drawing things, keep learning, and try game engine, so you understand the limitations and stuff. Keep posting stuff. Keep, never ever keep anything with yourself that I'm ashamed of showing. Show it. Take absolute open feedback. This community in this industry is amazing. People give honest feedback. People are always, they can be brutal, but that brutality will be in your favor only.
yeah,
There will not be trolls. There will always be some trolls, but there'll be always negligible people. So I think you should focus on that. So focus on C++ and mathematics side of the things, and never forget your school learning. Your 3D geometry, 3D maths, your physics. Never forget those, because those will continue to be used as a game developer.
yeah. Even
You know
even we are like using
exactly.
velocity, speed, and all kind of
all
things in
all
game
all
design.
all the time. So I
Every
think
single thing.
this is the best, case of implied learning and implied academy. Whatever you
Yeah,
read and figure out, assume, this is there, assumes, all assumptions come to life in this industry. And if you're
yeah,
artist, focus on those. If you're game designer, pick games and start dissecting those games, and learning to postmortem a game is the most important thing than playing the game. You know, stop your keyboard, mouse, stop your controller, and look at the game and figure out the big scheme. And I think it's for everyone, not just for game designer, but it's for programmer, artist, and all those guys. But I would say that if you can enroll yourself in a game focused kind of college or someplace, even if they teach you shit, what happens in most of the places, you will be in the community, and that
Yeah,
helps like
that's
crazy. That's the biggest thing.
so okay. So actually, we post some kind of quotes of everyone who we like do kind of interview and gaming talks. So what you will like to say, like in 3 lines, to let we can quote about you.
uh,
That's something about the game industry. If you want to give any kind of an advice in 3 lines.
any kind of advice. Okay, number one advice will always be hang in there. It's a playing game is one thing and making game is absolutely different. The kind of
Different thing.
resilience you need, the kind of perseverance you need, and the kind of brutal this industry can be. Imagine working on one single game for 2 or 3 years. It can be mind numbing for many, but just hang in
Yeah.
there. Consider game development as pregnancy, where you will face problem every single day. There'll be nausea, there'll be different trips to the doctor, there'll be like all the trips to the doctors, and all these are bugs and stuff what we're talking about. But the
Yeah.
end
Yeah.
result is going to be the most awesome thing ever. Even if you make
Yeah.
something small, go for that small thing, but do it so right that people are proud of that. My
Yeah.
examples will be like games like Journey and all, which are minimalistic games but so beautifully done that you don't need the shosha of Skyrims and of even Doom and all those kind of thing. Even with the minimum thing, focus on the music and stuff, you can pull off. So aim for something small but nail it so well that people like literally heads off to you, kind of that should
Yeah,
happen.
you did this one thing and that was your best.
Absolutely,
Something
absolutely.
like that.
And
So
then
that
build
was
build
amazing.
build on top of that. Don't just and success is again in this industry is it's a hit driven business basically. So you need to continue to build something awesome, and don't leave this industry. I many people I've seen from my time had left the industry and got into something else, but I think this is such a rewarding industry. As I told you, pregnancy about the game development, I think the career itself is like that. When you are going through, there'll be problem, there'll be issues and stuff, but when you actually go and sleep, your sleep will be beautiful, because you will be very
You
happy that
just
you're in this part of this beautiful industry.
okay. So that was also amazing thing that we will sure post it also on our Insta. And now, actually, one I had one more question, which was C plus plus or C sharp. So which you have already told that it's
Yeah.
C sharp. I guess. I mean, I'm sorry. Like C plus plus is better than C sharp.
Anything, yeah, absolutely. C sharp and all these, like they always talk to a layer, and that layer
Yeah.
talks to the machine, which is very. So there is this layer actually bothers me a lot, right?
Yeah.
The virtual machine concept, and then even the JIT, just in time, compilers and all those of C sharp. So I treat C sharp more as an interpreter, like Python and all those things, rather than a core language itself.
Yeah.
Where if I have to build missions and stuff, I'll write my entire code in C++, but I'll build my mission in Python or C sharp or something. I think that's
Yeah.
the best case scenario. But C++, never miss it out.
Yeah, that's the best thing. So that's it for today. Like I don't have any a lot of questions, and all the questions are ed. And now in the end, if you have something you would like to share or give out to the people, as we are also like starting for something for Valac that we are doing for the game community, like we are creating a
Right?
proper Indian gaming community to like to educate people, so people can know more about gaming. So if they have
Yeah.
any question, like directly come to our server. And if you are making a game, we are also helping like people to go ahead and publish your game. So you made
Right.
something, you are having problem in publishing the game, so we will help you with that. So something that you will like to tell us.
Oh, so this is amazing what you're doing, and this is something which was missing for a long time in India. There was no community, right? There are a lot
Yeah.
of small chunks which happened. Even IGDA had its presence, and then completely nobody took care of the community and all those things. And I think community is always the starting point of the growth, right? And
Yeah.
because the culture, and that's what I was talking about when I was talking about the college, going to those kind of colleges, because you are
Yeah.
in that kind of, so community is helping you to probably grow together, right?
Yeah.
And I think so. Treat this, amazing job you guys are doing, and treat this seriously. Take it seriously. Show off in this industry. Show off. It's a visual industry, right? So
Yeah.
use Valac Discord channel and all those mediums what you have, and show off your skills, show off what you're trying to work, figure out from people if you're stuck and all those things. Community will come and help you grow, right? And don't stay in the I understand that game developers are generally not very introvert people and all those things.
Yeah.
So we are introvert when we work, but when we talk about game, we just open up and like, okay, we start
Yeah. Because
screaming,
that was like our circle. That's where
right?
our
Exactly.
brain works.
And so use this thing, that use this channel where you can talk freely, talk openly, and one thing I keep saying, and in every single talk of mine, is that never ever believe in stealth mode. Showcase your talent, showcase your stuff, let people come back, even if it is shit. People will say shit, but this is how we can improve, and that's the best part of this
Yeah.
whole
Like
thing.
a
So I think,
review and something like feedback
absolutely,
matters a
absolutely. So I
lot.
think that's where this whole community, and I hope you clock like millions of in this and because that's the only hope we have as the game studios and other thing, where the communities grow, people grow. We know where to go. We know how to talk and other thing. Single point channel. So yeah, that's where we are. So,
Okay, sir. So that's it for today's live. So everyone, thank you so much for joining, and all the people who asked questions. Thank you so much for joining and being with us, being with Valac. And so we will end this live over here. And also, once again, thank you so much, Rajat sir, for joining the
absolutely
Valac
pleasure.
Gaming talk. And
Absolutely pleasure, Akshat.
yeah, thank you, sir,
And
for joining. And we will also do another live soon as possible. So if you have more another questions, you can always go to our channel or come to our Discord and talk to us. If you have any game, if you want to publish, come here and talk to us. We will be always there for you to help. So that's it for today's live. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Keep supporting, be with us, and have a good day. Have a good night.